So just a few things I've noticed about schizophrenia, and I looked up on Reddit, like the schizophrenia subreddit and all that, and like trying to learn like what's going on in my brother's head. And what I gleaned from that is that there's many different types, and it's not a well-known illness. So when they're, trying to help the medications and all that, it's like hit and miss, and it seems like even if it hits, part of it still lingers, and you're never really the same. So like there's no real fix for it. So what I'm trying to say is I barely know anything about schizophrenia, but I knew enough that like one day my dad was calling me or something, and he was telling me like, your brother thinks he's God or something like that, something along those lines. And my dad was taking it in like a curious way, whereas I immediately was like panicking, like red flags, like there's something seriously wrong going on. And my dad, being religious, like I think he would align with Catholicism now at this point in his life. He was totally thinking a different way. So I questioned him further, like what else is he doing, stuff like that. And I was like, back then, I knew nothing about schizophrenia, but I was like, this sounds like schizophrenia. So I told him that, and I'm like, you should do some research. You live with this, you live with your son. So I researched it further, and one of us, either my dad contacted me, or I contacted him, or my mom, or whatever. But later on, like, I don't know how long it was, maybe months later, I was like, so what's it like now? Like, are any other things going on? And it seemed to have progressed. And I'm like, okay, it does sound like schizophrenia. And my dad still, like, he didn't look into it at all. I was like, really? You haven't looked into this at all? You've done nothing? So again, I encouraged him, like, you should really look into this, to try to figure out what's going on in his head, and, understand what's happening to him, because it all happened so fast. Which I learned, like, it kind of, in men, it manifests in their early 20s, on average. More often than not, if it's going to manifest, that's when it manifests, and that's what happened with my brother. So I was really disappointed that he didn't do any research. Instead, he just, again, like the first time I called him, he was like, yeah, I don't know what's going on. It's like, okay, well then educate yourself, because you're living with this person, and you're telling me you want to know what's going on. That's what the whole internet is for, So anyway, it's been years since then. I think it's been maybe 5 years since then. And since then he was diagnosed against his will, but he was diagnosed. And it's uncategorized for now because, he didn't want to be diagnosed, and he didn't want to comply and all that. So no further testing was done to refine the diagnosis. But every time I visit, I notice things. He put in the hallway, it's like there's like the living room, and then there's an offshoot main hallway, and then it's the bedrooms for the children. And it's mine, his, and then it was my other brothers. So in the hallway, he wrote in Sharpie an H and an O, 2 separate places. I don't know what that's about. That happened a while ago. I'll talk about what I observed, not what my family has called me and said they observed, because that was pretty serious, and I don't know, I just don't feel like talking about it. Because he's had, back when it was all starting to manifest and it was like serious because nobody knew what was going on, there was a lot of phone calls being made. But yeah, so what I've noticed in person, I'll hear him run the water in the bathroom, like the sink, and it sounds like the hot water for like half an hour or more, and then he'll be done and leave the bathroom. I have no idea what happened in that bathroom. He'll take multiple showers a day, but I don't ever see him with wet hair, and he smells, to be honest. So I don't know what's happening. I really don't want to know, but he'll run the heater and the air conditioner unit at the same time. And he likes to order takeout like every single day. And my parents are both old enough that they're on Social Security now, and living where we live, like, I don't understand how they can afford all this extra cost and this waste. Especially because my mom has told me like how much credit card debt she's in and stuff like that, and she just keeps opening up new credit cards, and I feel like there's a lot of poor money management going on here, like extreme mismanagement. The house is falling apart, nothing gets fixed. Once it's broke, it stays broke. And then like they're caving to all of his whims and demands, and it's not normal. Like, if this were my kid, I would turn off the AC unit, I would turn off the heater, I would go in the back and like unplug that outlet or that breaker, I'd switch it off, and if he asks, just say it's broken, because it's where we live. I don't know if I should disclose the state I'm in just yet, but it's always nice weather. There's no need to run the AC and the heater at the same time. Just put on a jacket, put on a blanket, you'll survive. And they've told me, like, in the past, like, when he doesn't get his way enough, he'll leave. But he always comes back, or they get a call and he's brought back. There's gotta be something, like, when I'm around, if he makes a demand like that while I'm around, I will say something, and like I'll say, no, we're not doing that. How about we do this instead? Or we just ate, we have food at home, so let's not go out. And when I speak up, my parents are like, they just go along with it. Like, there's no leadership here. If anybody's the leader, it's my brother, which it's not like, it's like, I'm amazed at how this house isn't foreclosed on yet because of how mismanaged the money is. Because like I'm serious, like they go out and eat, or they bring back food every single day. And I'm just shocked, like, how is that possible? How can you afford that? Because he's like clinically obese now. My brother, when he was like, before this all manifested, he was actually working on himself. He was trying to improve his body because he was a little chubby growing up, and he was on the treadmill and stuff, and he was slimming down, and like, he was as the slimmest I'd ever seen him, but then it manifests so suddenly, and now he's like a bowling ball, or like an Oompa Loompa, you know what I'm trying to say? And so he's excessively eating, like Bible depiction of gluttony, and and he has stretch marks on his stomach, and I know this because he's always shirtless. But I think, and he goes out in his sleepwear when we go out, and all my brothers and myself included need corrective eyewear, and he doesn't wear his. So I think that part is either I read this on Reddit or they explained this to me, like my parents, like they had a talk with him, like, why don't you wear your eyewear? But I understand that part, like him seeing things that aren't there, and he doesn't want to be scared by those things, so he doesn't wear glasses. So I'm assuming that's why he doesn't wear glasses. Let's see what else. It's mainly the excessive, like, I feel like he's sucking my parents dry emotionally, financially, you know. And my parents have said he's said some pretty cold-hearted, mean, weird stuff to them about the dynamic and how he views them, who he thinks they are as people. I have not experienced that myself. When I'm around, they say he talks more, and I've never heard him like straight up say something baffling to my parents. Like he'll speak, he has requests, he mumbles when we're out. He doesn't like speaking to waiters directly, but it's been like a few years since he's been diagnosed, and he seems to have calmed down a little bit. Because like this time I'm visiting, he won't look at the waiter, but he'll mumble what he wants, and then my mom may speak up and clarify what he's ordering on the menu. But I see that as an improvement. I'm not sure if there's like ups and downs, and like you'll improve and then you'll get worse again and improve. I don't know if it's like bipolar like that. What else? Oh, and then the so that's just observationally what I've seen. But the sad part is, even though he's not all there, I don't think even he can recognize that this place is a shit show. He'll obsessively, I don't know what he does, but he knows something is wrong with this house, and he never got out. Like he's when I grew up, leading up to kindergarten, I lived somewhere else, and then I moved here in this exact house when I started kindergarten, I believe. Yeah. So, and then I got out when I was I think in one video I said 19, but that's not true. I moved out when I was like 24, maybe. So I lived here for about 19 years in this house. But my brother, he's been here his whole life, and he's never left. So like for example, the cleaning stuff, like it's hard to describe. And I'm not, one thing I will say, and I don't know if it's related, the last time I visited, so like 3 months ago, there were 2 full bottles of soap refill, liquid hand soap refill, like the big ones, and I saw like one was full, and then I hear him doing stuff in the bathroom, and then I don't know if he was turning on the sink. I don't remember what I was hearing last time I was here, but then I go back in and it's like half empty. So to me, in my head, that means he was just running the water and pouring it down the drain. Oh, another thing I observed last time I visited, and a few times before that, is he has this random plate of like nothing. It's like There's a name for it. Dross? Flotsam jam? What? Flotsam? Jetsam? No, it's not that. It's just like little pine needle stuff. Like, it's almost unrecognizable. It looks like organic matter, and it looks like plant matter, but I'm not sure what it is. And he just has that on a plate. And the last time I was visiting, and the couple times I was visiting before that, he would take that wherever he'd go, and he'd leave it in the room he was in. And this time I went, and I noticed like it was only in the kitchen on the table, and it's been there, and it hasn't come into the bathroom or anywhere else. So I don't know what that's about. So he likes to use the disinfectant spray. He uses that all the time, and he made my parents get a self, like a one on a cycle, and they set it up near so that whenever you pass by it goes off. I don't know if it's just fragrance or like a mix of antibacterial stuff, disinfectant, but if it doesn't go off, he's like, it needs to be fixed immediately. Like they have to fix it for him, has to be refilled, whatever. Trying to remember other examples of him like clearly expressing that he wants things clean, but I can't remember them right now. I've been in his room. It was actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's definitely bad, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Like, he has a computer, and it's healthy looking. It looks like well maintained and stuff, so he does have some things that are well maintained, but like anytime, like the kitchen is his domain, really. Like the table, everything on there, that's not true. Like he sits in a spot, no one else sits there. He always has food out, and the last time I visited, it was like summer weather, and there were just flies, like gnats everywhere on his food and everything, and he just leaves his food out throughout the night because he doesn't sleep, like he'll be awake at any hour of the day and take random naps. So most of the time he's either in the bathroom, sleeping in the living room, or at the kitchen table staring or eating something. And I don't know, I'm not scared of him or anything. Sometimes I'm just confused and then angry and upset that my parents cave into his demands so easily. Like yesterday, I was taking a walk with my mom, and she was telling me on the walk, like, next time he asked me to order takeout, I'm just gonna tell him that we're gonna have to just eat groceries at home. And I'm like, yeah, that's a great idea. And then we got home, and my brother was like, can we order a pizza? And what do you think she did? She was like, yeah, we'll order a pizza. And I got so frustrated and confused, like, why didn't you stick to your guns and like improve your living conditions and your financial conditions? Like, why do you cave so easily to his demands? Like, if he's gonna walk out, he's gonna walk out. Wouldn't it feel so much better to have money on the table to pay your bills and stuff? He'll come back. He's just like, I do love him, and I'll reiterate that I'm not afraid of him. I'm uncomfortable around him, and I have a lot of mean words I want to say to him, but I think it's also like pointless. Like he wouldn't be doing this if he was well, so there's no real point in saying like, oh, you're so gluttonous, and you say you're like you're God's prophet or whatever, but yet you're like being the definition of gluttony. Like, I know it doesn't make sense. There is no reason behind it, so all I'd be doing is making him upset. And my voice is like this because I want to be quiet, because I don't know how much my voice is traveling. It sounds like I'm like scared or something, but I'm not. I'm just trying to be quiet. I guess that's all I have to say for now about what I've observed my brother go through. And it certainly doesn't, the living conditions here, the hoarding does not help. And, you know, I'm very angry at my father for doing nothing, basically, for inaction. But I have a whole other thing I could talk about for that, so. Oh, and he's doing it right now. He doesn't laugh a lot. My brother. That's another observation. He's always giggling or not always, but it doesn't matter what situation we're in, what we're talking about. He's not listening, or he's not there. He's listening to something else, and like he's hearing funny jokes or something, and it's awkward and it's uncomfortable for us, but it's also like he's not hurting anybody or anything like that.